Since its official release just over 4 months ago, Counter-Strike 2 has been in a painfully bare-bones state, the Source 2 transition suffering from numerous bugs and lacking many of the maps and game modes and features that CSGO had towards the end of its life. There's still some way to go, but today's update sees Valve remedy the situation somewhat by rolling out the game mode Arms Race, together with 2 new maps for the mode, as well as all sorts of other fun and exciting changes. First of all, the 2 new maps. Shoots is the more boring of the 2, being just a very pretty remake of the old map, using all the same beautiful props and textures as can be seen in Ancient already, but I do like that they've added water down the middle. Baggage, on the other hand, sees a brand new set of props and textures. The aircraft is no longer just a half an aircraft with no wings, it's now a whole aircraft with 2 wings, and it doubles as a beautiful main menu background image. But if anything, it's the view of the airport that's more interesting, complete with guns in the luggage and a football on a conveyor belt. There's some deep lore here. The map itself has had a number of gameplay changes. Most fun of these is this new control room on the ground floor, which has a few functional buttons that you can press to activate the conveyor belts in this map. This is great, Valve. You've identified the appeal of casual game modes and have tailored the maps to suit them by adding gimmicky but fun stuff like this. So thank you. And they've added overhead walkways, just as I noticed in the preview images. But more than that, you can jump all over the place, stand on the vents and so on. Baggage stands to be a really fun and frantic map now, and it would be great if they added it for deathmatch mode. In my opinion, there are too many head height railings blocking critical movements and shots across the map. It's health and safety gone mad. So for now, these new maps are restricted to the Arms Race game mode. You might not care about this mode. I don't either, but this does give us a peek at how Valve is approaching Counter-Strike 2, for they could have just lazily kept everything the same as it was in CSGO. Or they could take their time, decide which elements and game modes from CSGO are worth adding back into CS2, and then to carefully reintroduce them with tweaked gameplay and polish to make them better suited for 2024's player base. Turns out that Valve is choosing to take their time, but also to keep everything the same as before. Arms Race is the same frustrating lesson in pain that it's always been. Similar weapon orders, sometimes things are scouted as a revolver, and there's that same infuriating bit at the end as you run about with the knife getting shot by everybody. But Valve has changed one thing about it. They've given you a Zeus with unlimited ammo. Previously, you'd fire this thing and then discard it on the floor, but Valve are taking their reduction of single-use plastics seriously, and it now remains in your inventory, slowly recharging over the course of 30 seconds. It makes this sound to inform you of when it's fully recharged, whether you have it equipped or not. Sadly, the Zeus disappears once you reach the knife rank of Arms Race, so you're back to the same lesson in frustration you know of the game mode 4 already. But it seems this new reusable Zeus, although added for Arms Race, has its rechargeability carried across to other game modes as well, so it could transform its use in competitive, for example. So that's something new we're getting, even if we don't care about Arms Race. And the Zeus is now treated more like the other weapons in Counter-Strike 2, by getting its own custom skins and stickers. This is one of the skins contained within the new Kilowatt case, and I'm excited about these new skins because some of them really showcase the new possibilities of Source 2 and its PBR materials. Some of these skins look more 3D than ever, and I can say they all hold up really well under 4K resolution scrutiny. The detail on some of these weapons is simply stunning. And check out the Chrome Cannon, which manages to look more futuristic and beautiful than any weapon finished before it, whilst also bearing striking resemblance to those assassins from Half-Life 1. What a gorgeous finish. Within weeks, everybody will be making skins in this style. And there's the new Kukri knife as well, being CS2's first new knife. So it looks to be business as normal. I expect Counter-Strike to continue to inflate with all these custom assets. To aid with that is the new Night Mode Music Kit box, which contains 6 new music kits. Here's a moment of appreciation for each of them. And we get a new sticker collection as well, containing all of these new designs. And along with it, Valve now lets us plaster each weapon with up to 5 stickers, instead of the previous maximum of 4, and each now has totally customizable placement, which I am sure will enable all kinds of imaginative, devious, and crude designs. Give it your worst. The more premium agents get their own defeat animations to help give them additional personality as well. Rather excitingly for me, smoke grenades have had their look improved, adding extra billowing to the cloud itself, but more importantly, they now finally have their own shadows. They're a bit speckly around the edges, but who cares, because it means you can no longer see the shadows of players that should be concealed by the general shaded nature of the smoke grenade. But it doesn't always work, as demonstrated here, where it dims the lighting but doesn't do away with it entirely, leaving the player's shadow still visible. Valve, please fix. Every cloud has a silver lining, and some in CS2 have literal lines in them, and invisible patches where there shouldn't be. I certainly wouldn't want to be the person at Valve dealing with these sorts of graphical issues, but for the most part, the addition of these shadows is a marked improvement over none at all, and the shadows do an excellent job of representing the areas of the smoke cloud that are visible following explosive grenades and stuff like that. And even at their worst, even when it's grainy and only half lit, it still manages to look beautiful. Really like a swirling mess of particles. Valve are at the top of their game for shader effects such as this, and the water, which I'll show again here for a few moments just so you can appreciate all the new stuff that's been added to Counter-Strike in this last year alone. And I'll chuck a smoke grenade as well. And hold a Molotov, because why not? There really is something for everyone in this update. You can now temporarily hear how stupid you sound to others by enabling this option in the audio section, but it will disable the moment you leave the menu again. If, like me, you want to be constantly reminded of how irritating everything you say is for others to hear, then use the console command voice loopback1 to have it on permanently. And there's been a new refund all button added, which is great for all those times you've accidentally bought only for someone on the team to then say to eco. A lot of these patch notes speak for themselves. Here's a demonstration of the traces being disabled. Note that other people will still be able to see your weapon's traces, and I personally like to be able to see how my actions will look in the eyes of my enemies. But if you find the look of your own traces distracting, then you can at least do something about that now. There was an option in Counter-Strike to disable the right-click suppressor toggle, but what if you pick up a weapon only to find some moron has already taken the suppressor off? Valve has made it so that right-click will always put the suppressor back on, even if the option to do that is disabled. Because I guess the logic goes, if you disable the option to take the suppressor off, then you prefer it being on. Valve has also apparently adjusted the hit reg between ticks, and cut down on the amount of peeker's advantage. So if you stop playing the game for those reasons, because people kept peeking and killing you before you had the chance to respond, then maybe you should try playing again, because maybe it will have improved, possibly. Or just get good at the game. And there are also many updates to existing maps. No new routes or anything exciting like that, just general bug fixing and clipping improvements. I guess none of them were considered critical enough to warrant an emergency patch. So one 8.5GB update later and we get several months worth of improvements to all these maps in one go. It's nothing but a superficial change, but check out this new menu background. It's beautiful, it's like Indiana Jones with really intense lighting. This is the best main menu screen the game has ever had, in my opinion. As further incentive to play this game is XP overload. Once you earn all your weekly XP, you'll get this icon next to your name all over the place to show the world that you played too much Counter-Strike. And every week you achieve this in a row will upgrade the icon, which is going to trigger all sorts of horrible OCD, and some people will never be able to stop playing the game again, else risk losing their valuable XP overload icon. A lot of you were angry and upset with the way that CS2 was forced upon us with very little content for it. I think Valve deserves some time. They've done the impossible by porting CSGO over to Source 2. It had to happen at some point, it was never going to be smooth. I'm happy to give them the benefit of the doubt and to accept a few years of suffering now in exchange for a much brighter future for Counter-Strike beyond that. I don't think Valve are trying to kill Counter-Strike or anything like that. I don't feel the need to speak up about it, although some of you have reached out to me telling me I should. But I am happy that this update did come out when it did, because now we have proof that Valve are working on Counter-Strike and that they haven't neglected it or are waiting for it to die. It will be some time before CS2 is up to CSGO standards, but once it is, hopefully it will continue to improve even further than the Source 1 version of this game could ever hope to achieve. So let's try being patient and to enjoy what's just been added to this game.